Hey race fans, Alex Weaver here in Studio 3, joined by Jay Fabian from the R&D Center, the Managing Director of the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. Jay, we're heading to Darlington. It's NASCAR Throwback Weekend, always one of our favorites. But let's talk about Darlington, the track as a whole. It's super unique there with the tire fall off and the tire wear, and I know teams kind of have to adjust for that. What makes the track and the surface at Darlington so unique?
Yeah, isn't it great? We're talking about fall off, we're talking about Darlington, it's unique. I love going there, one of my favorites events, throwback stuff, all that's great. The track, it's abrasive, it's sandy, it's hard on tires, there's going to be significant fall off, and you're going to have to manage that to get to the end of the race.
Now I know that the decision that NASCAR made back at the first part of the season was that we were not going to have Aero ducts at Darlington, and then that was tweaked a little bit in May that we now have those Aero ducts. Why was that decision made, and what does that benefit?
Yeah, that's a good question. So over the winter, when we were laying out the tracks on which ones were going to run the ducts and which ones were going to run brake ducts, the demands for brakes was the key there. We don't want to put teams in a bad spot on a high braking demand track with Aero ducts in it. So as we started the season out and we saw what the braking pressures were like, what the brake wear was like, you know, the teams come back to us and say, hey, there's a lot of these tracks we can run the drag ducts in that weren't on the list originally, and we're going to be fine with it. So we looked at the data and everything that led into that, and we agreed. And I think the more that you can spend time with one particular package or setup, which is the Aero ducts, I think you're going to have a better race.
Well, we're looking forward to a better race. Darlington's one that you always are told to avoid the stripe, avoid the damage on the car up on the high groove towards the wall. So through turns 3 and 4, how important is that top line going to be running up closer to the top towards the bottom?
Yeah, so there's a couple key things there. So Darlington, you know, we've talked about it being unique. So you're going to run the fast way around the track. The fast way around the track is going to be around the top of 3 and 4. That's going to also change based off of what tires you have on. You know, you have fresh tires, a lot of grip. You might make time a little bit lower, but when you start wearing the tires out and you start to lose grip, you want to minimize time lost. So that usually puts you up towards the top. You keep the momentum up, you keep it rolling, and there's grip up there. There's grip right beside that thing that gives you the stripe. So you got to be careful when you get up there.
So basically you're saying that the lady in black can jump out and get you at any point.
That's right, that's right.
Well, Throwback Weekend is always one of my personal favorites. We've already gotten in the spirit here in the office, and I know that it's fun for you guys to head to the track and see all of the gear and the paint schemes and the crews and the drivers really getting into the spirit. And now the fans have really accepted this Throwback Weekend, and it's become one of the major staples and marquee events in our sport. So how fun is it for you guys to get out to Darlington and see the different eras of NASCAR legends and the throwback that all of the sport encompasses?
I think it's fantastic. I've got the throwback mustache going on. I can't wait to get down there and see the cars and the crews. This one's a little tough for me because it's 90s, early 90s, and that's when I started, and I'm looking at things as a throwback of kind of when I started in the sport on a team, and it's like, oh, this is kind of sketchy being a throwback of when I started. But it's cool to see all the schemes that you remember when you went to the track when you first started out too.
Yeah, you have to keep up with who's running what scheme because they all just look like different drivers all over the place. That's right.
Matches the personality.
All right, well, I appreciate you joining us. Tell Steve O'Donnell I said that you get to keep the stash, at least for a couple more weeks.
I'll relay that to him. Thank you.
All right, guys, you can catch all the action coming up. It's Throwback Weekend for NASCAR at Darlington. We're racing there Sunday, 6 p.m. on NBCSN. Jay, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys right back here next week.